Morning everyone, in from DIY Home and Gardening. Sunday the 3rd of March. It is March, yeah. And in the greenhouse, do some seed sowing. These. So let's turn the camera around, have a little look. So that's what I'm growing, or trying to grow, Tomatillo verdolino. So despite it's has tomato kind of in the name, it's actually a type of physalis, so Cape gooseberry type thing. They're meant to be easier to grow than tomatoes, although I find tomatoes very easy to grow, and produce a nice consistent fruit, yeah, should be an interesting addition, I think. Planning to grow these and plant them up the allotment, so that'd be a bit of a test as well. But first time growing these, so thought I'd do a video on it. So what I've done already, I've filled seed tray with normal multi-purpose compost, given it water. It's been actually sat for about an hour because I went in and had some breakfast. And so now just to do a bit of seed sowing. So let me set the camera up. Right, so these have come from Chiltern Seeds. I'm sure other people do them as well. Let's just grab the label. So, label. I'll turn it that way only because I'm only thinking I'll do 2 cells worth. I'm all gone crazy. Oh, it's a small seed. Bloody hell, that is small. Can you see that? So, a little bit more fiddly than normal, but I'll sow it the same as normal. So I always sow, multi-sow. Oh, too many seeds there. So doing 2 seeds in each cell, then that way I like to think at least one will germinate, which will then give me 6 viable pots worth, or cells worth. And the last one, and that odd one that can go back in the packet. And with these, because they are quite a fine seed, and then covering over with vermiculite. Oh, just spotted, I've only done 1 seed in that one. No, I haven't. Just take that back. Such a small seed, didn't see it. So we'll cover these with vermiculite. So smaller seeds, they always benefit from being covered with vermiculite as opposed to the compost. A bit more. And the vermiculite is a sort of well, used to be a volcanic type product. It aids with a bit of moisture retention to the top, but as it breaks down it releases micronutrients, helps the seedlings. And then because it's dry, you don't want the vermiculite to draw the moisture away from the seedling, so you can either give it a water, but with watering can, but I tend to use a mister. And then we can go and pop them into a heated propagator, and I'll see you when they've germinated. Right, so coming to the greenhouse, 9th of March. That's the tomatillo. So you can see that they've germinated. They've gone a little bit leggy because I've left them in the propagator a little bit too long because of the fact that nothing's germinated out of those couple of cells. So I had been trying to keep them in the heat in the hope that something will grow from there. It doesn't look as though anything's going to be popping from there. So because, well, essentially I don't want these ones to get ruined, I'm taking it out the propagator, and then it can just go onto the heated bench. So give base heat to these little seedlings, but without the top heat, which is the bit that starts causing them to get drawn up. And so because they're only be getting heat from below, they're then exposed to these cooler temperatures, which in here at the moment is, let's have a look for you, 14 degrees. So that will help to strengthen those seedlings up. Also, I don't know whether anything really is visible, but because there's the clear trays or cells, I was wondering whether you can see any signs of root development, but not really at the moment. So yeah, see what happens. Right, so 6 weeks on from seed sowing, these are my tomatillos. I genuinely don't know how they should be looking, although I have read up that says about they have this sprawling tendency, which is clearly visible here. So what I'm going to do is, rather than going from my usual approach, which is go from this cell size into a 10.5 centimetre size pot, I'm going to bypass that and go straight into these 13 centimetre or 1 litre pot, and hope that by sinking them down that far I'll be able to straighten them out a lot. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's have a look. Right, so I'm just going to put a little bit of compost into the base and start with this one. Maybe it's the only one that's actually upright. Pull that out. And it's got a good root structure to it, so I'm pleased about that. And we had to sink that down a fair way and then backfill, just crumbling out any bigger bits that you find, and bury the stem, which will be just the same way as for tomato or chili or whatever, so that help with rooting further up this stem. And first one done, it's definitely sturdied it up. So yeah, I see how these more spirally ones do. Well, I'm just not bothering with that one, that's pointless. But that's 5 potted. I'm honestly failing to see how these are easier to grow than tomatoes, certainly at this stage, but let's see how it materialises come the end of the season. Okay, a bit of a tomatillo update. 3 weeks on from potting. Now, I've got to be honest, all of a sudden they've strengthened up. I mean, obviously the shape's not got any better, but look at that, it's got a flower. So I do need to now get these potted. As you can see, the roots are coming out the bottom, and they're going to go straight into some big pots, but not today. Okay, so a few weeks have gone by. I've done absolutely nothing about planting these up. So we're now 9th of June. Tomatillos, plenty of flower. All of them got plenty of flower. I'm going to plant them up. So I'm going to put them, or a couple at least, in the same containers that I've used for the tomato plants, which is a 15 litre pot. Potting them up exactly the same way, so just putting a base layer there of a couple of inches of soil. A little offering of some slow release fertiliser into the base, which will help the roots get going, knock the pot off. Lovely root ball there, and that's going in pretty deep. And let me just get my gloves on. And just backfilling around, just making sure that it's straight in the pot, straightish. By covering it up, you can see, where is it? This one, the most wayward one. It's got all these little nodules there, more apparent on this side. So that will readily root. Actually, let's show you on here. So where that is bent and touched the compost, it's produced stem roots. So by burying this deeper, exactly the same as tomatoes, they produce additional root, which will give you nice strong plants, hopefully, capable of producing more flower and in turn more fruit. So always level, fill up level with the root ball, give it a firm round, then add more compost. Let's tip some more out. And just with all my other plantings, I always make sure that I leave a bit of a gap at the top of the pot between finishing level of the compost and rim of pot, which then can act as your water reservoir. So you can fill that up, make sure the plant's going to get a good old soak. And that's the first one done. And then only do probably one more, and then might try the others at the allotment. 17th July, time for a tomatillo update. So that's one of the ones that are retained in the pot. You can see how big it's got. And having never grown them before, I didn't really know what to expect, but it's got absolutely stack loads of flower on it. The weather's been absolutely dreadful. We've had this year, well, so far this July, we've had 135% of our annual rainfall for the normal month. But you can see these are producing the cases, if you like, that are going to contain the fruit. Empty at the moment, but hopefully they will grow into it. But yeah, looking pretty good. You can see it's nestled alongside all the chili peppers, which incidentally are not enjoying the cooler, wetter conditions, and neither are the tomatoes. But the tomatillo, at the moment, it's doing all right. Now these are the tomatillos, 24 weeks on from seed sowing. So seed sowing back on the 3rd of March. And just look how many fruits are developing. Unbelievable amounts. Now I still have one plant at the back of the house, and it has got a fair amount of fruits developing, but nowhere near as much as this. And the reason for that, I think, having read a fair amount more on growing these things, is that they do better when there's a couple of plants in close proximity to one another, so they can actually cross-pollinate. Now, you'll notice there's a few like this, where pods are changing colour. That's not to say that they're ripe. You know, something's got at these, probably the mice, and they're under a little bit of stress, but you can see there's fruits within that. They're not going to ripen sufficiently, so that can go. But what I did notice about 2 weeks ago was this one down here, which, let's grab that. It's a massive old thing, and you can tell it's ripe. One, because of the husk has all gone brown, and two, because of the smell. And again, having done a little bit of watching videos, read up, I reckon more often than not you can tell by the smell over anything else when they're ripe. Now, looking at it, I would say this is possibly, or probably, a little bit overripe, because it started getting this yellow coloration rather than being green, which when they're fully green and going brown husk is when they're apparently totally ripe, but being like this, perfectly usable. So looking forward to that, and really looking forward to having well, quite a few of these ripen so I can make my first ever genuine green chili. Green salsa, sorry, not chili, but we could add some chili to it, make it a bit more potent. But yeah, that's where we're at, looking really good. So that's it, that's video done. From start of seed sowing through to that massive developing fruits behind me on the tomatillos. And I'll be honest, if even half of those ripen, I'll be more than happy to, well, I'll call that a definite win, and we'll be able to make our own genuine green salsa in first year of growing these bad boys. Now, ordinarily, I'd say if you've got any questions, send them to me, but you know, my first year growing these, it's real, you know, learning as you go scenario. I can't add anything more than what you're seeing in the video. So if you guys have grown these before, if you've got any hints and tips, then please send them to me. I'll be more than grateful to receive any information as to how to grow these tomatillos better for next year. You know, how to get, I wouldn't say necessarily a better crop, but a quicker crop than what I've managed to achieve. If you have liked the video though, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so don't miss out on the future videos. And I always say it, but it's so true, just enjoy yourself, have fun, try something different perhaps. You know, for me, it's trying something like a tomatillo, give it a go. Otherwise, if you keep doing the same thing year on year, then, you know, that's great. You'll have exactly what you like, but there might be something better. And, you know, just push yourself a little bit perhaps. So that's it, video done. Enjoy yourselves. See you soon. Bye for now.